see the video. Two dope girls in the gym. Grab your mama, grab your cousin, bring them friends. Your favorite podcast, about to get it in. So we just two dope girls in the gym. Two dope girls in the gym. Grab your mama, grab your cousin, bring them friends. Your favorite podcast, about to get it in. So we just two dope girls in the gym.
You're now tuned in to Two Dope Girls in the Gym.
What's up, y'all?
Hey, y'all.
It's Two Dope Girls in the Gym. And you know, it's your girl, Brandy.
And your girl, Alex, in Wonderland.
And we're excited to be back. So real quick, before we introduce our guest, because you already know, every other week we got to bring you a new hot fire guest. And we have one, and I know this episode is going to change lives. It's going to save some people. It's going to reconstruct some journeys. So I'm really excited about this one. Yes,
definitely.
But before we do that, we got to get in to the weekend recap.
Oh, yes. This weekend was fun, right?
Yeah, we
this
did a
week,
lot.
Really, beyond this weekend, this week was fun. We did some really interesting things.
A lot of it was Two Dope Girls in the Gym, like, first. But at
Yeah.
the same time, we've gotten so much feedback that we're like, yeah, we're for sure going to keep this going. So,
Right? So I was super, super excited. We finally got our intro to our jingle, our
Yes!
video to our jingle done.
Yes.
Completed. And it's up on YouTube. It's up on Instagram. It's so much fun.
I wish y'all even could understand how we put this, because we just birthed the concept through conversation, of
Yeah.
course. And at the time, it's like, well, where are we going to find an ice cream
truck.
truck?
and where are we going to find
In the
someone
wintertime.
who lets us drive their ice cream truck?
Right. But we
use our Two Dope Girls magic.
I believe in guerrilla marketing,
Yes.
everything. So I'm gonna figure it out, and with the faith of
We
God,
We low key broke into a ice cream junkyard.
I don't know if it's breaking and entering if it's already open.
It was open, but we were asked to leave.
But it was. I mean, we had already got the footage we needed,
Yeah,
so
we
it was
got-
okay.
yeah.
We didn't have a problem.
Yeah, and then shout out to Apollo, right? Apollo.
Yes, Apollo Sphere.
Yeah.
And Animal, because
Yeah.
Animal connected us with him. But
Right.
at the end of the day, we found an ice cream truck, and Apollo Sphere let us use it
Right.
and drive it and take
and-
kids' money.
Yeah. We didn't take money, but we did exchange. We disappointed them. We exchanged their ice cream dreams for fresh fruits, right?
Yeah, because at the end of the day, Two Dope Girls in the Gym is out here trying to promote healthy lifestyles.
Yes, we are.
We're trying to promote it in a fun way too, because I think that the idea of living a healthy lifestyle, it seems like everybody is so bogged down by the rules behind
Yes,
it.
they are.
And it's like, if you just have fun with the concept, have fun with your journey, like, change the narrative in your head about, I guess, the sacrifices that you ultimately have to make to get to where it is that you're trying to go. I mean,
Just put a positive twist on it.
Yeah.
You know? You
And
gotta
I-
eat bananas, put sprinkles on them. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right. We're not
Time out,
saying
time
you
out,
can't
time out,
have
time out.
ice cream.
Time out. Sprinkles on bananas?
Sprinkles
Hey,
on
hey,
bananas.
Have you tried it?
Right?
Have you
Sprinkles
tried
on
it?
bananas?
It makes it almost like a dessert. I
tried
carry
it?
sprinkles. Just sprinkle them on your bananas. Your kids will eat them.
You can't knock it till you try it, is what we're saying.
And if you want to add whipped cream, it's only like 15 calories a tablespoon.
We know down
Whipped
to the
cream is
caloric
nasty, first of all.
intake.
What?
It looks very nasty.
Banana split? You don't eat banana
I
split?
do, but without whipped cream.
But okay, so what
How
about
does it look nasty without whipped cream? Let's break this down. Come on, you about to be guinea pig number one.
No.
You should-
Whipped cream is nasty.
Oh,
What? Whipped cream
CJ,
is ice cream.
you can't think whipped cream is as nasty and you eat cool.
That's not nasty.
Whipped cream is not
Do
nasty.
you not
I've
use
tried
it?
whipped
in
cream.
You've
the-
never used whipped cream
Together?
on the cool?
Yeah, a little topping.
Don't need that on the cool.
Oh, man, you're not having
Your
fun?
life is
I'm
right.
having fun. It's just not with whipped cream. I'm going to do something else.
I
Some
don't
honey, some organic honey.
understand.
Organic honey? Haven't tried organic honey.
Agave
Honey,
nectar?
try honey. Yeah, some agave.
That seems like it's going to be very, very sticky.
You
though.
know that hazelnut
Hot sticky
syrup?
sweet?
You two are nasty. Back to the show.
Okay.
Well, that's what happened when you cut Two Dope Girls off. Where were we at on the
Basically,
concept?
just reminding you guys that to have fun with your healthy habits, you know?
Yeah,
So,
there's nothing wrong
yeah,
with it.
exchange a little fruit for
We're
some
not
ice
saying
cream.
you can't have ice cream.
Right.
That's not what we're saying. What we're saying is there's nothing wrong with, if you go to the store and buy a pint of ice cream, for whatever reason, you eat a third of it,
and you put it back in the refrigerator. You don't have to have another third tomorrow.
Right?
You can wait a week.
Just have some fruits instead.
Have some fruits in between. And then on Sunday Fun Day, have another
Some more
third.
ice cream. Yeah, you just got to balance your intake, right?
And you can, these Haagen-Dazs things, I've been eating Haagen-Dazs for years.
Is that your weakness, Haagen-Dazs?
Well, not really to Lindsay when they came out. That
What
That
are
took a whole
those
nother-
Magnums? The Magnum chocolate bars? Those are amazing.
Well, see, I'm not a chocolate fan, and this might work for me because it's not a trigger for me. Like sweets isn't a trigger for me,
Okay.
so that might be why the
It's
concept
definitely a
of
trigger for
like
me.
swapping out fruits for sweets, it works for me because, and those chocolate covered dates, like stuff like that works for me because
Amazing, your private chef ATL.
right,
Right.
it gives me the fix that I need, but it doesn't really kill my diet.
Yeah,
And I'm okay with that.
That's cool.
I
That's cool.
don't know. But so yes, we tricked the kids,
Yeah.
and we did give them their money back, and they got to keep the fruit. And I still took my little brothers to get them an ice cream cone because for whatever reason they would not be okay with
Yeah,
it.
they
They're
had to get their
but
ice
we
cream
were
cone."
by the ice cream trucks. But that was fun. Another thing that we did was we filmed our first episode of Two Dope Girls in the Kitchen.
Two dope girls in the kitchen.
See, y'all thought we were just gonna limit it to conversation. No,
No.
no. We're taking it to fashion.
Yeah, we're here
We're
for a
gonna go on
lifestyle.
shopping trips. We're gonna show you what the extreme weight loss lifestyle looks like. I mean, you go from, and our guests, we're gonna get into it. Our guests can speak on this, but when you lose weight at a rapid pace, you go through clothes like crazy.
Yeah.
Clothes like crazy. You go through food like crazy.
Yeah.
Especially when you're eating on a certain diet. So, what was the point of saying the clothes? Oh, we're
doing
bringing you
fashion.
different episodes. We're bringing you different episodes. We're gonna do fashion, but this week or last week we did kitchen.
We did kitchen. We did smoothies. Our version of smoothies. Brandy did a good meal replacement, and I did a good snack with sprinkles. CJ.
Yes.
And whipped cream.
But it's a fun way to still feel normal or regular
to have fun.
around your friends. Like, I know a lot of my friends like to have a milkshake at nighttime, so I think actually a protein shake for dinner isn't a bad idea.
No, it's not.
Of course, the protein shake that I made was a breakfast shake because it had a healthy fat, it had the carb, and it had the protein powder in it. The only thing that it was missing was veggies. I didn't put that in it because I did a
You did
salted
kale.
peanut butter and chocolate banana protein shake.
And I did a triple berry oat. I like to get those from Tropical Smoothie, but the sugar content is always so high.
Yeah.
So I kind of did a cleaner version of that using honey.
Nice.
Well, as Brandy says, straight from the bee's ass. Is that what
Well,
she
that's-
said?
I said, actually, you
I
said
said
that.
that.
I said, y'all better start sucking bee booty. Okay? Because it's good for you. That's what I said. But that's because.
Bring it. Bring it. There you go.
I don't think that's
That
inappropriate.
was very inappropriate.
How is that
It's
inappropriate?
hilarious.
Brandy, your mom listens to this podcast.
Well, I don't know if she knows how to find it, really.
That is inappropriate.
How's that? Sucking bee booty?
Yes.
You get fresh honey.
I don't think that's
If y'all would have
inappropriate.
saw CJ's face.
I think what's inappropriate is the way my mama told me my daddy found out he had COPD. Slobbing on this nigga man knob, the bobbing.
All right.
That's what I'm saying.
What else did we do this weekend?
Thank you, Alex.
Okay, so Two Dope Girls in the Kitchen is up on our YouTube channel.
Yes.
You guys go check that out. Two Dope Girls in
The
the,
recipe.
gym. Number 2. Yeah, we got the recipes up. And we also got a bunch of suggestions on what we should cook. A lot
Yes.
of shrimp and chicken, Alfredo, chicken dishes. So
We're gonna bring
stay
you
tuned for
healthier
that. 'Cause,
options.
yeah, we're going to bring you the healthy version of your favorite dishes. And, yeah.
Well, I'll give you one more recap. We hit the radio.
Oh, yes, we did.
We hit the radio. We were on the Business Brief.
Yeah, the Business Brief with Latasha Gibbons.
Yes, 92.3. Yes, it was awesome. We did a segment with a life coach. They had
Inspired White Rose.
Yes. They had the Brandy Mallory Experience come out to talk about the health and fitness business side of health and fitness.
Yeah.
And then kind of some of my experiences on staying connected to the journey.
Yes.
And then, of course, one of those things is Two Dope Girls in the Gym. So, of course, we hit air. It was really awesome.
That was cool. I like that experience. I was actually interested in how interested she was in your twerking videos.
I know. And so what? And it brought to mind something that I argue often when people ask me why. Guys will ask me a lot, like, you always put twerking videos up. Why you always shaking your ass? And I'm like, honestly, women love twerking.
Yeah, it's dancing. It's freedom.
It's fun,
Right.
And at the end of the day, you're getting a workout in,
Right.
and you're not even trying. So I thought it was really cool to be on the radio, and she brought that video up, which means she searched through my social media, because that was way back in freaking August. But it was cool because I was proud of it.
Right?
But yeah, that was really fun.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool.
Hey, Latasha, and we did get an open invitation also. You
Yes.
have one as well.
Yes.
We would like you on the show.
So the next thing that we're going to do, because it's time to get into
Yes, I'm excited.
the
She's got
doobie
great,
doobie
great,
doobie
great
doo. So I'm gonna bring in our guest, Rachel.
Hey, Rachel.
This is
Hi,
Rachel
guys.
Curtis.
Rachel Curtis used to be Oliver.
Right. I look, when I was looking on social media, I was like, I'm gonna do this wrong. I know I'm gonna do this wrong. I'm gonna say Rachel Oliver, and I didn't, so I'm very happy. Rachel Curtis, we're super excited to have you on the show today. Welcome.
Thank you.
I wish we had like
Go, girl.
I know.
I'll take it.
Yes.
We're ready. Wait, what else can I do?
Appropriate.
I know.
You can
but
dance.
But I'm going to, so Rachel is from season 1, episode 1. She kicked off the entire movement to extreme weight loss.
Yes,
At the time, it
pioneer
was
woman.
called
Extreme Makeover
Weight Loss Edition,
Okay.
right. So it changed
was a
my
spin-off
year.
From
Yeah.
Extreme
Mhm.
Makeover.
It changed my year. So what it was Chris said he wanted to be the Ty Pennington of weight loss.
Oh, okay.
That was exactly how when he went in for his pitch, that was what he said.
Uh-huh.
So when they named the show, Extreme Makeover Weight Loss
After-
Edition.
Okay.
And then
Okay.
Chris ended up being the trainer.
That's
So,
cool,
little knowledge, little
that's cool.
history.
Backstory.
Yeah, but we're super excited to have you on the show.
Right.
I met Rachel during my season. We were actually in AZ.
As in Arizona.
As in
Yeah, 'cause
Arizona.
I was
That's what
confused.
that's what we called AZ on the show. We just called it the AZ house. So
Insider notes.
right. We were I was in Arizona. I actually was in physical therapy, and she came in, her
Actually
and her
rolled
husband.
in.
I was
Actually
gonna
rolled in.
I was gonna
Yeah.
get there.
Yeah.
She came in, her and her husband. I'm laying on the bed, and they're like, Rachel is here. Rachel from season 1 is here. Josh, he leans up and said, Rachel is here from season 1. Get up. So I sat up. I was like, hey. And then the first thing I noticed was that she was in a wheelchair. So all the hairs, and I'm really creepy like this, when certain things happened, I pay attention. All the hairs on me stood up when I saw that she was in a wheelchair. And I immediately freaked out because I also saw she had put on weight. So I was glued into everything that she was saying because I know that anything could happen. I knew in that moment, seeing you, anything could happen after this is all said and done. And I felt like it was really important to pay attention.
I'm glad you did.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I want to welcome Rachel to the show, and I would also like her to introduce herself, formally. Give you her spiel, where she's from, just a little bit about yourself.
Okay. I'm Rachel Curtis, like she said, and born and raised in Georgia. Right now I live
Yay,
in Butts
baby.
County.
Yes.
Our water tower says beautiful Butts. So we're very classy down there.
I
That's
love
where all the
it.
high speed chases are, right? Like down
Oh,
there.
down
like
16,
Lowndes County, Butts
yeah.
County.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
Only
I
thing
do
I
not
ever
partake.
heard.
Oh man, I want to low key. Just one time get in the high speed chase.
I only knew one thing about Butts, Georgia. I did beauty pageants growing up, and there was a girl named Brandy Butts, and she was from Butts, Georgia.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I don't ever
Sounds
hear
like a,
hear about
movie
that,
star.
but yeah. So I was season 1 of Extreme Weight Loss. At the time, I was 369 pounds. I lost 161 in a year.
On the show.
Absolutely changed my life. I became extreme in everything when it came to physical. I actually wound up fighting, training was featured in Georgia Fighters magazine.
Oh.
I was a hardcore boxer. I loved it. It was my
Okay, I was
favorite
about to
thing
say,
ever.
what kind of fighting? Like
Oh
boxing?
yes, I did
Like
MMA. Yeah.
Oh goodness!
So
you could have just took me out in the green room.
And you didn't even know
Right,
it.
I'm over here just chilling.
Uh-huh.
You got ninja
Okay,
skills.
don't judge a
Yes.
book. Don't judge a book.
And also hardcore training in CrossFit. I was training for a CrossFit competition about 2 years after the show. Wound up breaking my foot. Same time, my thyroid decided to quit working on me. So when I was on the show, I told myself, I will never gain that weight back ever again. I just swore it up and down, but God had other plans and wound up gaining all of it back and then some. But I can sit here and tell you in all honesty that I am so thankful and grateful that I gained that weight back because I gained me. I learned how to love myself and not just my physical being and not just the weight loss.
Right,
Yes.
clapper. Look,
It's
Barry
like
clapper.
Mm, yes.
Goosebumps.
Yeah.
That's real.
Yeah.
That's real. It takes something like that. Oftentimes it takes that hard hitting, that pain to really realize who you are and to bring the real out of you.
That's what happened to me when she said that
See?
to me
Good
at the grand opening when we shared that moment that I was telling you about.
Yeah.
That's exactly what happened to me.
Okay, so Rachel
And
just
her.
gives out goosebumps.
Yeah.
y'all.
Right, she walks around passing out goosey.
Goosebumps.
Oh.
Okay.
That's good energy. That's electricity.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
after the show, after training hardcore, I was working out at a gym. I actually was going to school to be a trainer. And the very first client I ever had, I remember I was telling her what to do, the motions to do, and it hit me like a ton of bricks. I do not care about this. I don't care about moving weights. I care about what's on your heart. I care about why you are the way you are and why you have those reasons. So
That's
I
extreme
quit
weight
that very
loss.
next day, and that actually began my journey into figuring out who I was as a person and why I mattered. And I'm telling you, when I was on the show, and this is nothing negative about the show, but when you go extreme, you become extreme about numbers. So the scale and that number and how much weight I'd lost and how much I weighed, it defined who I was as a person. And I remember when I gained the weight back, I began to isolate, I began to hide away, and my husband looked at me and he said, "Why on earth would you hide such a beautiful thing like yourself? Why would you take away the blessing that you are to other people?" And I remember looking in the mirror and saying, I am not a number on a scale. I am Rachel Curtis, and I have so much to offer. I am a comfort. I am a loving friend. I'm a compassionate friend. I am loyal. And when I began to speak truth and when I began to change my mindset and to change that inner monologue, it absolutely changed my life. And I'm telling you right now, that did not mean that I started losing weight right away. I began to pack on the weight because my body had other things in mind, and I had to go along that ride, and I had to learn how to love myself through it. And I'm telling you, it's the most beautiful thing you could ever do in your whole entire life. Yes, the kitchen is good and the gym is good, but when you start working on your heart and mind, it will make lasting results.
Absolutely. Let's
That was good.
Y'all clap for that because that falls in line with
the
Two Dope
biggest
Girls
thing.
philosophy. We really believe that you've got to tackle your mental,
Yeah.
you've got to tackle your
It's
spiritual.
a lifestyle.
It is,
Yeah.
and it is more, the physical, I really feel is a side effect of whatever else is going on, mentally and
Yep.
spiritually.
Yeah.
And you, I think we've all had major transformations, and we seem to take in that same stance that you've got to get your mental right. You've got to get your emotional right before you can sustain dramatic weight loss like
Yes,
that.
because how many people out there have lost a few pounds, but then looked in the mirror and said, I'm still fat, I still hate my legs, I still hate my arms, I still hate this and that.
Yes.
When are you ever going to be happy? When you lose that weight, you're still going to find something else to be negative about. So what you have to do is look in the mirror and see what is beautiful about yourself. You have to change that attitude of hatred into an attitude of gratitude.
Yes,
Honestly,
yeah.
you have to be, Lord, I'm thankful for my life. I'm thankful for this beating heart in my chest. I am thankful for the excess skin because that means I worked hard to lose the weight.
Exactly.
And if you look at it that way, it will actually gear you into a better mindset to work out and to do better in the kitchen because you're doing it out of heart of love and not out of heart of hatred.
Of hatred for yourself, yes. And then and when you have that hatred for yourself, even if you don't recognize it, you put that out there into the world to other
Yep.
people, and
Yes.
that's what you start receiving back, and it becomes a vicious cycle.
Let me tell you this. This is what gets me more than anything. I remember one time my friend came up to me and she started spewing the most ugly things about herself, and I stood there for a second and I said, "Stop." I said, if you heard someone saying these things about somebody that you loved with all of your heart, would you sit there and listen to it? And she said, no. And I said, so I will not sit here and listen to you speak badly about somebody I love with all my heart. We are so quick to love others unconditionally, but yet we look in the mirror and everything is all about condition.
Right.
If I lose this weight, I will love myself. If I can stick to this, I will love myself.
Yep.
But you have to learn to love yourself unconditionally.
Right.
The good, the bad, the ugly, all of that.
All of it.
I experienced that the first year back. I call it my first year out.
Man.
Because
Been there.
essentially, out of everybody from my season, I was kind of uprooted from my home for the entire year. They said that they were training me for the hardest challenge that they had ever done. They needed me in Arizona. They needed me with these people. And I was just like, I just want to be in Atlanta. And I know that it was the best thing for me ultimately because I wouldn't have been as focused.
Right.
However, coming back home and being taken out of this place and dropped back into this bubble of people who expected me to be the same Brandy.
Right.
And though I am the same person, I have a whole different energy, a whole different wave going on, a whole different mentality.
Set of rules you
I
got.
had just taken a year to focus on some of the most painful things that I had experienced in my lifetime. And I know ultimately those are the things that you need to focus on to adjust basically how you feel about yourself. To actually be able to say the things that you feel about yourself or felt about yourself at one point, they weren't even your feelings. They were what other people were feeling about you or putting on you. And like I never really had the opportunity to look at what I liked about myself. I didn't really I felt like people liked me because I was the fat fun friend, you know?
But see how you say the fat fun friend. You couldn't just be the fun friend. And
Right.
that's what sucks about when you have so much weight. It's like, that's always the first adjective.
The fat pretty girl.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
yeah. That was-
yes.
Yeah, that was
the
me.
one.
Fat pretty girl. Yeah.
Exactly.
That's how my makeup journey even started. I was talking about that. Like, people ask me all the time when I walk in to do makeup. They're like, you never have your makeup on. Why don't you wear makeup? It's so weird to see a makeup artist without makeup on. And I'm like, honestly, my relationships, when it started with makeup, it was about making sure people paid attention to everything from the neck up as
Right.
opposed to the neck down.
Yes.
Like I would always get, oh, you have such a pretty face for a big girl comments. And so I was like, okay, let me play the face up so they won't pay attention to the body and
Right.
talk mess about my body. Or make jokes about me. Instead, when they see me, they're like, ooh, that's a pretty big girl, you know? And it's all love as opposed to any negativity.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, like, I just don't like wearing makeup every day because I don't feel like I need to.
Yeah.
I feel like I would rather preach the concept, and I guess, I don't know if it's weird because I'm a makeup artist to preach the concept, you don't need makeup, but I don't care.
No.
I'm here to make you beautiful, but I'm
Right.
also here to make you feel beautiful.
Right.
And that's just how I try to, I guess, pay attention to it or look at it. I don't like doing makeup where people want me to reconstruct their face.
You like just
I
emphasizing
like,
what they have.
yeah, I like taking what you have and turning it up a notch.
Well, hold on. Okay, I did have the pleasure of having Brandy do my makeup, and
Yes.
it was one of my goals. I have something written out, and one of my goals was to have my makeup done by Brandy, and she did my makeup, and let me tell you, it's an experience. It's not just to be
The Brandy
beautiful.
Mallory
It is
experience.
an experience.
It is.
When I was sitting in her chair, I felt so calm. I felt so just absolutely gorgeous, and like it was a spa experience, to be honest with you. It
Thank
was
you.
healing and beautiful because it wasn't just about the makeup. It was enhancing the beautiful that was already me. Do you know what I'm saying? So
Yes.
that's what
Yes.
you do. That is like your
That
ministry.
is the Brandy Mallory experience.
Right.
Yes, you're bringing out people's beauty by accessorizing it with makeup and
Yes.
lashes and other
Yeah.
stuff.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yes, I like that. Round of applause.
Look, we
Make
just-
that
I'm gonna get y'all a little hand clapper.
Right. The little slap, 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 slap. I'll try and shake my ass to that.
Oh yes, I
Make it
look.
so-
I tried to shake well, my shoulders start shaking.
She already knows.
Thank you.
Okay, a hater.
Oh god.
She's a hater. So, this brings me to my next topic of conversation with you, Rachel. Can I call you Ray Ray? Is that right?
Oh, that's a nickname. I love
That
it.
is- okay,
My
yeah.
nieces and nephews call me Aunt Ray Ray, so I'll take
I
it.
love it. Okay, so Ray Ray, we're gonna get into it a little bit more. So, you did the show. You
got
put your
here?
weight back on.
Bye to our favorite cameraman.
We want to say bye to
Bye,
our favorite
thank you so
cameraman.
much.
Shout out to Fox
Thank
5 because they
you.
came out and did a little package on us. We're so grateful, so humble, so
cool.
thankful. I
See you
love you,
later.
man.
Peace.
Cameraman, the coolest. Okay, guys, we don't meet strangers. I
Yeah,
just
we
want to let you
really
know.
Never.
don't. He's our favorite cameraman. We've met him twice.
We talk to random people on the street all the time because
Oh yeah, our favorite ballet guy, Rachel. knows our
Yeah.
favorite ballet guy.
yeah, why not? It's so much joy that you could just spread around randomly connecting with people.
Truth.
But yeah, so I want to get into your journey a little bit more. So you started, you put weight back on, and we're here now because as you can see, you've lost weight.
Oh yeah.
So I want you to continue that.
after the show, when I first put on weight, it wasn't like I put on 20 pounds. It wasn't like, I mean, my thyroid completely stopped working at the same time. I broke my foot, had to have my first surgery. The first surgeon botched my foot up entirely. I was in a wheelchair for almost 9 months.
Oh my.
And when I put the weight back on, I put on 150 pounds on in no time. And so when I would look in the mirror, I would hardly recognize myself, and that started the whole isolation stuff. And it actually went all the way up to 437 pounds, which is actually more than I weighed when I started the show. That's the most I ever weighed in my whole entire life. And they told me, like, let's remove your thyroid, that's going to fix things. And instead, it put me into a thyroid crisis, almost had a heart attack, like went through all these crazy physical things, and it was like eye-opening because I feel like we take our bodies for granted.
We do.
And yet they can be so very fragile. And looking back, like, I'm glad I did the show, but the way that it was done, people are like, oh, I want to lose weight so quick, but that's not what it is about. If you lose weight so quickly, and I mean, I would work out sometimes 8 hours a day. I would wake up, pack all my food for the day, hitch a ride to the gym, and I would be there from first thing in the morning till late at night, and then I would go home and then look at my little thing and see I didn't burn enough calories, and so I would walk to the gym, which was a mile away from my house. I had 2 gyms that I went to, and I would run sprints in the parking lot and then get back in, and I wouldn't go to bed until I'd
Like
hit that
an
mark.
obsession.
Yes.
Yeah, it become an obsession.
It was not healthy. You have to have a balance. So I really did a lot of wear and tear. I've had both of my ankles split in half. I've had 4 foot surgeries total. I had sciatica so bad because my right hip sat up about 2 inches higher than my left from being on crutches for 4 years. My body physically went through it. My hormones were out of whack. It just got to the point where I was like, I cannot do this any longer. I was ready to quit. And I will get emotional right here because I felt it. Yes, I had love for myself, but I was in so much pain every single day that I could not enjoy relationships. I could not enjoy my friends. I could not enjoy my nieces and nephews because I would only be able to stand for 5 minutes and then I'd have to go lay down, and I was not living life. I was just trapped inside this body, and it didn't matter what I would eat. I remember after one of my surgeries, I had my mom and my aunt come out, and I remember my aunt came up into my room after my surgery, and I was laid up, and she came up to me in tears, and she said, I am so sorry. She was like, I judged you in your weight gain because I thought that you were just sitting there eating bad and that you were just binging. She was like, and I see how you eat now, and it makes me want to run to McDonald's and eat something because you eat so healthy here. There's such a stigma against bigger people thinking that that's all we do. But I am not condoning being unhealthy or being overweight, but I am saying you can't always tell what's going on behind the scenes. You can't always tell what's going on inside somebody's body. My body was literally, it didn't matter if I ate a salad, it was taking that and it was fighting against it. So my body was at war 24/7.
Yes, and that's with the thyroids, what you're explaining.
Yes.
I always preach that when you really want to start an extreme weight loss, you've got to go see a physician.
Yes.
Because I had the same issue with the thyroid, and I got stuck. I couldn't lose weight, and I couldn't figure out. Once they found out it was a thyroid and tweaked it, weight just started falling off. And your thyroid controls your hormones, so that can
It's
deal
your
with
thermostat.
Yeah, it can. It's everything. And so I know a lot of times, like growing up, for bigger girls, the joke would be like, "Oh, I got thyroid disease." You know, that would be the joke.
Yeah.
Where no one really had it, but it is a real thing. And so
Yeah.
a lot of times there are things that are ailing people like us who are extreme, obese, there's other ailments, physical things that if we just check that out, it can help on our journey. So I really do suggest getting that done, you guys. Go get a physical.
Yeah.
But also, let me say one thing. Looking back, I wasn't completely 100% like not at fault, because I remember there would be days where I was like, I am going to be fat no matter what I do. Why can I not just enjoy it? And I remember being like sneaking out of the house, or having my husband sneak out of the house and go get pizza, because we lived with my in-laws at the time. My in-law's a chef, and and my husband's type 1 diabetic, so we have to be very careful and stuff. But we would go on like these secret missions to go get pizza and like eat it in our room real quick and then toss the boxes later. But it literally did get to that point where I was like, if I'm going to be fat, like, let me at least enjoy it a little bit,
Yeah. And like what you said, where you had made up your mind that you're always going to be fat, just enjoy it. That happened to me when I was about 7 years old. I asked my mom, am I always just going to be fat? And she's like, well, you're just big bone, not hurting me purposely or whatever. But in my head, it got stuck like, that's just you. That's how life is.
Yes, there's no other way.
Exactly.
Yes, that was the same with me.
Yeah, that's part of that whole getting over it mentally and understanding you can be whatever you want, whatever your transformation is, even if it's not weight loss. What you want to be, you can do it. It's just taking control of it and making a way,
I want to ask, how did you handle those moments when people would treat you differently when they saw you after you put weight back on? Like, how did you handle that?
Like when people would message me and say, I cannot believe you threw away such an awesome opportunity, and how could you sit there and be so fat and lazy, and people cussing me out, and people telling me like I was the most horrible person. And that is what made me isolate, because I'm like, if people are going to judge me, and even people that were close to me, family members, because I was living in Arizona, all my family was in Georgia, so I was very much alone going through this whole entire process. I mean, there would be days where I was like, I don't even want to go back home and visit because nobody's going to recognize me because I'd gained so much weight. But what really got me through was the unconditional love of my husband.
Yeah.
When he would look at me and say, I just see my sweet Rachel. And I would just be like, okay, well, help me to see her again, because I am very lost right now and I am blinded by this weight. And so he helped me to break through that and to see the beauty inside of myself. And honestly, so I had weight loss surgery, everyone, about a year and a half ago. And I've lost 140 pounds since then. But before that ever happened, before my last foot surgery, before my 4th foot surgery, I actually went on this like major like loving myself to the point where I lost 60 pounds in like 3 months, and all I did was yoga. All I did was listen to my body, because I had such a horrible.
I
had
I
had Hashimoto's and Graves' disease, so I would go from one extreme to the other so quickly that they could not medicate me. So what I began to do was just say, okay, well, what do I need today? And so some days I would get up and go to the gym, and I would be there for 3 hours. I would go row, I would go swim, I would go do whatever I felt I needed. And then the next day I would literally just go lay in the floor and stretch and listen to my body. And when I became one with myself, like before my last foot surgery, before I had all that pain and stuff going on, the pain really did, like, it numbed me. Because I quit listening to myself, because all it was telling me was, you're hurt, and you can't listen to that. Exactly. Like, it's very difficult. But when I went through that stage, that was probably the healthiest. Like, you can even look back at pictures and, like, I was so stinking healthy, and it was all because I was listening to my body, and I wasn't listening to what other people told me I had to do in order to lose weight.
Yeah, and that's part of the advice I think we both give a lot of times, is finding your specific journey. A lot of people think there's this blueprint.
No.
And there isn't. It is your own journey.
What works for me is not going to work for Brandy, and what works for Brandy is not going to work for you.
Exactly. Right. And unless it's cocaine, I mean, that's about the only thing that works for everybody, right?
I don't know nothing about that
either.
IJS.
I don't know nothing about that life.
Leave the booger sugar.
Booger sugar.
Oh my God.
I am not gonna
But
play
really,
with
I
you.
think that's a lot of times people are reaching out to us and like, what do I do? And
Help me, yeah.
and it is about
This is what we can do to help.
Yeah, you gotta try and figure out your specific journey.
So we can tell you what we did, but you actually have to be an active student. I
Do
talk
the
about
work.
being an active
do
student.
the work.
Yeah.
Do the work. It's
So
your life.
okay, so you did it. You did it on TV, or
it
the
again on my
natural
own.
way,
Yes.
right? And then you did surgery. So
Yes.
tell me, what are some of the largest differences between the two routes?
Okay, so I really feel like there wasn't that big of a difference. Okay, so for instance, when they removed my thyroid, which the doctor who removed my thyroid was a bariatric surgeon.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I was driving to one of my appointments and I started having a major panic attack. And I didn't realize this at the time, but it was actually thyroid toxins. And that was me going through all that mess. But I remember my doctor's appointment was an hour, about an hour and a half away. And I called my husband and I was like sobbing and I was freaking out. And I said, what if I asked the doctor about weight loss surgery? And he said, let's pray about it. So literally the whole way up there, we prayed about it. I got there, asked the doctor, and he was like, yes, let's just have this as your first appointment today. We're going to talk to your insurance. My insurance wound up covering 100%. I didn't tell anyone about it. I went through my 6 months of doing the classes and doing other stuff and like really like going back to the nutrition part of it and going back to the exercise. And I was to the point where I didn't want to let people down, and I didn't want people to say, this girl is taking the easy route and she is doing it the lazy way. And I promise you right now, you can talk to people all across the board who have had weight loss surgery. If you do not do the work and if you do not stick to it, this is a tool. It's a smaller stomach, so you have to be so careful about the nutrition that you put into your body. You have to be so careful about measuring stuff out. And exercising, like, you can't just say, hey, I'm going to have this surgery and I'm going to lose all the weight.
Yeah.
Yes, I lost weight fast. I lost it pretty much the same exact rate that I lost it when I was on the show.
Oh, wow.
Like, almost to the T did I lose it the same way. But it just made me be very more, like, particular about things because I knew that my body could not handle it if I overate like I used to. Because after the show, I also went through an eating disorder. Like, at first, I was anorexic. I did not eat anything. But then I realized if I didn't eat anything, then I couldn't work out and I couldn't fight and I couldn't do those things that I wanted to. So that quickly turned into me binging and purging. And I struggled with that for about a year. And, of course, my husband helped me through that again when we were dating.
As you can see, her underlying thing is an amazing support system. So if you don't have one, you gotta find
I'm going to go with husband.
Yeah.
Look, if you can get you a man that still gets down on one knee and asks you to marry him after you put on 150 pounds, you know you got a keeper.
Right?
Okay.
That's, yeah.
Ooh, child. I was going to say something disrespectful.
I've been with my husband at my biggest, for 11 years now. So he's seen me at my biggest, my smallest. It is they go on a journey with you too.
Yeah.
So it is, we have all kinds of conversations all the time. Hey, man.
It is an emotional roller coaster. I think that the people, your support system, period, the people who knew you before, like we were talking earlier before we came in here, and you guys didn't get to hear it, but before we came in here, we were talking about how, like, my family, my mom, made a comment to my dad one time about how I changed when I came home. And, ultimately, like, I'm glad I changed because I am now able to recognize my triggers. I'm able to call myself out when I'm being lazy or when I'm making excuses. I can have realistic conversations with myself. I can also set realistic expectations.
I am so glad that you said triggers because that goes back to listening to your body and listening to yourself. But I don't know if anyone else is like this, but one of my triggers was being a rebellious eater. If somebody told me that I couldn't or shouldn't have something, I would go back behind their back and eat double just to be like, who do you think you are telling me what I can and cannot eat? So that was one of my triggers. Like, you have to listen to yourself and you have to figure out what your triggers are.
Identifying that.
And you have to tell people too.
Yes.
Like, I remember somebody told me, like, you shouldn't be eating that. You don't need to eat that. And I remember looking at them and be like, do not tell me what to eat. I know how to do this.
No, seriously.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't know what it is about people, why they feel like they have the audacity to come up. And I guess people say because you did it on television. Well, you did it on public.
Like, you put yourself out there.
You put yourself on social media.
So
okay, we get it. But at the same time,
I'm still a human being.
Yeah.
I think people forget forget that I
Yeah.
really do. That filter, that lens, that people forget that.
Because they
can say
think that
whatever.
since they watched an hour or two of your life,
They
that
know
they
you.
think they know
They
you.
saw you cry. They
Yes.
saw you
I think
struggle.
that's why I became an oversharer. Like I just said, I'm putting it all on social
Girl,
media.
I did. I
honey.
told Brandy the other day, you need secrets, man.
No, you know why? Because secrets allow space for other people to make things up in their minds
And I
about
like
what
that.
you got going
Let
on.
them make it up.
For me, people hop on my page and they straight up
true.
ask me questions. Like, hey, I ain't gonna, what you got going on? Cause
No, just do something like rob a bank and keep it as a secret. You know what I'm saying? Something like
oh well,
And
I
then
have
share.
I
that.
have
And
those.
then share.
I have those types of secrets.
Oh, okay, that's all. That's
Yeah.
all I'm saying. Yeah, I just
Actually,
feel like Brandy would be
nobody
like,
knows
yeah,
about
I robbed the bank. My mask had glitter on it. You know what I'm saying? Like you would be very upfront. My lashes was on fleek.
Maybe not the bank, but I could see other situations because that is me. That
Federal
is
Reserve. But like, yeah. Okay, no.
like I went through the ventilation system there, but like a bank, I feel like I would have to have a gun.
Oh yeah.
So
Oh,
I
yeah.
can see that one, but because I don't want people to think that I told. I don't. But
no, I did
would.
wonder about both of y'all losing y'all's weight on TV, like how it affected you guys. Because I know a lot of times, like at one point, I thought the only way I could lose weight was to get
Be
on
on a TV show.
Yeah, I was like that's
Yes. Yes.
but I didn't even know how to apply or anything like that, you know. So I just wondered how that went for you guys.
I thought the exact same thing. I
Me
remember
too.
watching Biggest Loser and being like, well, if they put me on the show, then for sure I'd lose all
Yeah.
that weight. And I
Do
had
it
that
then.
mentality. But what changed it for me and my like turning point was when we were out there for the tryouts. They flew us all out to LA and they were like, we're going to cut 8 people here and then we'll let you know after that. And I remember they all sat us down in this room and I remember Chris came in and he came up to me and he said my name and he was like, he knew things about me.
Yes.
And I remember looking at him and I'm like, oh,
Yes.
why do you care? And then he stood up there and he literally looked me in the eyes and he said, you can do this.
yes.
And I remember thinking, how come no one's ever told me this my whole entire life? I thought this was the only way of living. I thought that I was meant to be big. I was meant to carry all these
like,
burdens.
that's my role
I was
in
meant
life.
to be the funny, pretty fat girl. But when he looked me in the eyes and he told me that I could do this, I was like, yeah, I can do this.
Yeah.
And I legit, that night, I went to the gym at the hotel. I didn't know what the heck I was doing, but I made up my mind right then and there that I was going to change my life.
Life,
Whether I got
yes.
on a show or not,
Yeah.
I was going to change my life. And I got on that treadmill.
Treadmill.
Treadmill. It's a new thing. Yes. But I got on that and I just started walking because I was like, I am going to do this because Chris told me that I could.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
like he gave me that permission and he had that belief in me and I was like, oh, well, let me just go ahead and take that. And
Right, and
It
I
was-
It was like the difference between somebody coming and telling you you need to do something and then somebody like literally grabbing you by the hand and saying, hey,
yeah.
like let's do this thing.
But there was
Yeah.
so much belief and passion, and I've
Yeah.
never seen anyone be passionate about that before. Because I was always the only big girl. Like, I didn't have other big girl friends. Like, I was the only bigger person in my family. Like, we would have Christmas and stuff, and it was always just me being the bigger fat kid. And so it was just always how it was.
Yeah.
And for him to say, you can do this, I was like, oh, okay.
Okay, yeah.
That was like an unforgettable
Permission.
moment though.
Yeah,
when you walked
100%.
in, like that was the first thing they did when they walked in the room.
Yeah.
He came and shook everybody's hand. He knew you by name, and he was like he was excited to talk to you
Yeah.
about you. He's like, you do great makeup. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, and you think that? But at the same time,
Yeah.
it's things that people. You want to know about yourself. It's like before, and this is just with makeup, before I became Brandy the makeup artist that could walk in the room and say, this is how much I want, or I'm not coming. I don't come and set up for nothing. Before I became that person, I wanted to feel like somebody saw that person in me.
Yeah.
Because I felt like I was a great makeup artist, but I wasn't sure. I felt like I was growing in a space, but I wasn't sure.
Right.
And so having that, I guess, validation, and I say this all the time, it's nice to hear other people that aren't necessarily savvy in makeup tell me that I do great makeup. But it's different when, the first time Monique told me that I was the best to ever do her makeup. That was a
Right,
different
someone who's been
feeling.
around.
Right. Been around, had their makeup done by the best in the industry to your mind, which also speaks to the idea that you put so many limitations on yourself because this person has been somewhere, their name has been in a room that you wished your name could be in.
Yeah.
And to find out that this person that you look up to thinks that your makeup is better than those people that you look up to in the industry. So it's
Right.
like, oh wow, really? So it's like having those checks and balances along the way. And I feel like Chris kind of gave us that validation to be proud of ourselves that day.
Yeah.
Like where you're at right
regardless
now.
of
The
where
fact
you
that
end up,
you
yeah.
decided to come and take action in your life, regardless of the fact that it was a television show. Like you decided to make this decision for yourself.
On top of that, you made the decision to be there. You were willing to hear it. You were willing to listen. And I feel compelled right now to whoever is listening right now, whatever stage you are at in your life, you can do this and you are worth it. Like you are beautiful. You are worthy. Like God put you on this earth for a reason. And just, you can do it. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter if it's losing weight. It doesn't matter if it's gaining weight. It doesn't matter if it's
Kicking alcohol.
becoming a mother.
Yeah,
Yes,
anything,
kicking
anything.
addiction. You can do it and you are worth it. But
Yes.
you have to be ready to make that change. And as soon as you are,
It happens.
look,
Yeah, it
you have
happens.
people that are sitting here trying to show you how to do it. They've been through it. They've walked it. They are living proof, example of what it takes to be an overcomer and to achieve great things. And man, I'm excited for people who are choosing to listen to this right now and are ready to change their lives, because you don't have to be on a TV show to lose weight, and you don't have to be on a TV show to change your life. Like, you can do it
can do
right
it,
now
yeah.
by changing your mentality, changing the way you
That
think,
mental.
and taking that negative narrative out of your mind and replacing it with that positive one, and uplift yourself.
Right.
That narrative is so freaking important.
is.
Like that is like the biggest key. I think that the more you tell yourself you can't do something, the harder it is to get out of the mind space of I'm basically just not gonna do it.
As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. So whatever you're thinking in your mind and whatever you're thinking in your heart, that's what you're going to be.
Yeah, that
So
is
you have to change what you're thinking in your heart and in your mind.
It's what you put out there. It's what you manifest within. It's what you put out. Whether you're spiritual, like religiously spiritual, or spiritual with nature, whatever it is, it's the same concept.
Yep.
What you have inside is what you put out, and in turn, it's what you receive. So it's a big cycle, like we said earlier. I think it's amazing that you touched on just transformation in general, because I think because we are two dope girls in the gym, a lot of people think we're just about weight loss.
Right.
We're so much more than just weight loss. It's
Yeah.
living the life that you want to live. So that's what we're here for. And Rachel is just, she's cool as fuck,
Yes.
man. Like, we got the same, and I don't
It's
know
the
if
same
because-
energy.
Yeah, we've been through the same thing, so similar, but you really,
It's
everything.
kindred spirits.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And she's twisting the hell out of this laughter, this creativity candle. So that's her
I know.
vibe. I love it.
Yes.
No, keep doing what you're doing. So she's sprinkling vibes on our vibe candle.
We're excited about it. A little lingering,
Yes,
linger
a
of
little Rachel
no, a
left behind.
lingerie
There you
of
go.
Rachel.
But,
So I was gonna say, Alex has a game that
I
she
do. I
set
want to play a
up.
little game, a little this or that kind
Okay,
of thing. Since
okay.
both of y'all have been on
I love
extreme
it.
weight loss,
Okay.
and didn't invite me.
Oh, She's filled
But
with
I did.
talent.
I had a few questions. Rapid
Okay, go.
fire questions.
Okay.
So okay, cardio or weights?
Cardio.
Ooh, Chris or Heidi?
Chris.
Oh, Heidi, I love you too. I'm sorry.
I do too. Pitbull in a skirt.
Yeah.
Mile High Club or Country Club?
Mile High
Country
Club.
Okay. Least favorite workout in the gym?
Burpees.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to have to go with burpees. Box jumps, because that's how I broke my foot.
Oh, okay.
Ooh.
We don't like
Yeah.
you box jumps.
Yeah, we don't like you.
Sorry, interrupt the game. Brandy had me doing burpees Sunday, and I was not prepared. I had on the wrong bra. I had on no socks. I damn near had on jeans. But
That's a whole nother topic right there, girlfriend.
Yeah, it is.
Hate burpees.
Okay, favorite. Favorite exercise in the gym.
Ooh, legs. Anything legs
Oh, really?
and booty. I love it.
See,
Makes me
that-
feel
I guess
strong.
I would say that.
Yeah,
Makes me
I'm
feel
on my
strong.
peach dreams.
Stairmaster.
Oh,
Yeah, I would say
no.
that.
Yeah.
No.
Yes, I love it.
I'm not a stairmaster.
We
girl.
stairmaster next to each other, and it's comedy.
It is pure comedy. Yeah, okay. I had a totally inappropriate, unrelated question from the chick at Farmburger that I won't ask, but I,
Okay,
I
thank
did
you.
have it
Appreciate
written
you.
down. Hey, chick at Farmburger, thank you for the amazing collard greens too.
Yes, and
Appreciate
charging
you.
my phone for me because it was
Yes.
That was it.
Oh yeah, that was oh wait. First lady or princess, if you had to be one. A first lady of America or princess?
First lady.
First lady?
Oh, I don't. A
Princess.
princess, yeah, but it depends on which one.
I don't even care.
Well, in honor of the most amazing day on earth,
Oh yes.
January 13th, 1913 to 22. Okay, they started out on political and social change, all right? So what I'm saying is I would like to be a first lady because I would be able to have my hand in that. See, princesses sound like AKAs to me, and on a day like DST's day, I just can't say princess, okay? They princess sound like you sit around sipping on some tea. Princess sound like you sitting around sipping on some
I
tea
did
and
it.
eating
If you
some
are AK, no shade because we want you to listen.
Yeah,
My
no.
auntie at AKA.
It's all the shade. I got like 4 aunties that's AKAs. They was all mad at me, baby. But I don't know. I've always been a worker. Like I've always
Yeah.
been like I feel like honestly when Harriet Tubman came, I feel like I was part of the 100 that she saved.
Oh.
I feel like I did.
Yeah.
I feel like when Harriet came and she was like, "Say, bruh, we out." I was like, "Let's go." What we need to do? Strap up. I need to grab some food, water. What we
You was
doing?
Harriet's makeup artist.
What?
You got there with the berries, Gerald.
Yes. Yes, I had the cold. I was rubbing it on the eyes.
I was over there rolling up plants.
Yeah.
Sorry, Harriet.
See,
I can't
actually,
do it, though.
Alex was our astronomer.
Yeah, oh yeah, I'll take that. I was in
She was our astronomer. But okay, so I like that game. Actually, that was a really good
That
game.
was. That's fine.
So okay,
But wait, look. I just have to give Heidi props too because that girl got me through my eating disorder 100%. So I do give her props. But I mean, Chris was the original, so.
I was gonna say so. I mean, they both know how I feel. We joke about this all the time. But well, not now, but at the time we joked about it all the time, and it was just like we would always mock how the two of them would enter the room. Like, if you go to Heidi for advice or feedback or suggestions, versus if you go to Chris, and you have Heidi where when you go to tell her something, she's sitting there, she's like, okay. Mm-hmm. It's like she's cutting through your bullshit. And you see it. It's like, fuck, she doesn't give a damn. Like,
But you need people like that.
yeah. And though Chris felt the same way, it was the way he presented it that was just like, nah, I'm gonna go talk to Chris. Chris seemed like he'll give me the best advice on this one. But Heidi, I wouldn't have made it through my triathlon without Heidi. It was like I had like the last leg because my triathlon, the swim, bike, run, I swam a mile, 1.2 miles, bike 56, ran 13.1. On that last leg of the run, basically, I basically had to keep doing a loop until it equaled out to 13.1. So the last leg of the loop, I like bit the corner and was like, all right, long as I could see Thad, my tri coach, as long as I could see him, I was good. As long as Nigel, who was the Ironman closer, he was on the bike. He was the closer. If he rode past me, I was DQ'd. So as long as he was behind me and Thad was right in front of me, I was good. So I started walking. Cause I don't know if you saw the episode, I was low-key walking anyway. But I felt in my spirit, it was a full-blown run.
Yeah. Been there, done that.
I had been moving, but I was literally on pilot mode.
Yeah.
it was a mind game at that point. It was like, no, Nick. I mean, no. you know they don't want you to. Right. You know they don't expect you to complete this task.
Mm-hmm.
You know this is the hardest thing that they've ever produced. These are all the things that you know going into
And y'all
this.
know she's super competitive, right?
And I went into it so naive. Like I was like,
I got you.
I can do this. I'm gonna treat this like three separate workouts. I mean, that's what we do anyway. Wake up, do cardio, go to CrossFit, chill for a few seconds, cardio, fun time. Shoot, I could treat this like three separate workouts. Never in my life had I been nonstop, kept going doing no working out for 8.5 hours.
Yeah.
It took me 8 hours, 28 minutes, and 50 seconds. I had a minute and 10 seconds left to spare. I don't know if I calculated that right. All I know is I had a minute and 10 seconds before I got disqualified when I crossed the line.
But you made it.
But
You
I
made
was a finisher.
Yes.
And I loved it when Ask Miss Matt.
Oh, you got YouTube. Go see this face they're making y'all.
Came and sat down next to me right after my OTF and had the audacity to say to me, I didn't think you were going to finish it.
Ooh, well, guess what?
That was a beautiful moment.
We don't like that negativity.
Right? Right?
But I tell you
And then
what,
why tell me that either?
Right.
I tell you what I thought about was the old man in front of me on the race. And I want to just tell everybody, be the old man. And I'm going to tell you why. Apparently, as I'm finishing, Nigel behind me, the closer, who does this every year, he's cheering me on. Right on, gal, right on. You see that man up ahead? However they talk over there.
That's not New Zealand.
Well, right on.
was it?
That's what really
Oh,
what he
okay.
was saying. But they have like that Aussie, accent. He was like, he was saying right on, girl. And a group of people were cheering for me too, and they were all saying right on. So I think that's the thing in New
Right
Zealand.
on.
But he was behind me and he was like, just keep going. He was like, hey, if you look ahead, you see that old man up there? I don't remember his name. He did tell me his name. He said, that's so-and-so. He said he does the race every year and he finishes last. At least this year you'll give him the opportunity
Oh, damn.
to not be last.
Oh.
And I just want to say, everybody needs to approach life like that old man. Show up every time.
Yes.
It doesn't
Yes.
matter if you last in line. Show up. But guess what, baby? One day, you might not. One day, you might get lucky. You might catch a fatty at 2:14. They never trained for no triathlon a day in their life. But they on pilot mode, and I was on go mode for his old ass. I was like, I ain't gonna let this old man beat me. Chris standing to the side. He was like, let's go get him. Let's go get him. We got this. We got this. And then 5 seconds down the red carpet, he had already gone through the finish line. I said, I'm gonna let that old man win today. I'm gonna humbly bow out of this.
It was a
You were an angel.
Yeah, because of me.
You might have made his whole entire life
Life,
right
right?
then
Yeah,
and there.
he probably never had to run again.
You know what? He probably might not have done that race the next year. He might have said, I am waiting to just
I made
beat
my
somebody.
goal.
And he beat me. And if, you know what?
If
I'm
you're
okay with
person,
that.
Yeah, that's
I'm okay with that. But I would really charge everybody. And I think that's the message behind this. I know we got to go. But I think the message behind this entire episode, be the old man. Don't quit.
Yeah, don't quit.
Fight it out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Ooh, that just gave me
Even
chills.
if this is
right?
like your 20th time restarting, like start
Keep
again,
going.
keep going.
Yeah,
I don't care
keep
how many times I
going.
have to lose weight. Like this is not about a goal number. This is about my life. This is about
Right.
me being happy. This is about me being able to be a future mother, which
Yes.
is going to happen.
Yes, it is.
And I'm going to be able
Speak
to
it.
be there for my children, and it's
Right.
because I persevered.
Right? Yeah, we rubbing good vibes.
I like that.
You guys,
We have one more question. We
Oh,
got to play the game.
you gotta
We
get the
can't have
eight-ball
a
in.
guest
You gotta get the
and not
eight-ball
do
in.
it. So we got to get it real quick. I want you to ask the 8-ball question, and you have to share it, but I want you to tell us what the answer is.
Okay, will I be on this show again?
Oh.
I can answer that. The 8-ball might be confused.
Reply hazy. Try again.
Oh, no.
Try it again, because I already know the answer.
It is certain.
Yes!
We like
That's how we
Love
felt.
it.
I seen how the 8-ball ain't never gave us no negative energy. I don't know what they talking about. I'm glad it said try again. Okay, if at first you don't succeed, what? Try again.
It's just like the old man.
It's
right
just
there.
like I was about to say. That's
Do it
the best
again.
way to end the episode. Everybody, guess what? We love you to death, but we at this thing.
But can I say one thing?
Oh,
I'm
I
sorry.
felt like that was
We-
hot.
It
I'm
was.
sorry.
It was. I'm sorry, but we're gonna be at Ice Bar this weekend.
Oh,
And
yeah.
we need you guys to come out and like. Oh wait,
Come turn up with us.
the episode is gonna air after Ice Bar. Oh no, Friday. It airs Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah. So come turn up with us, Ice Bar this weekend, and follow
Saturday.
us. Yeah, Saturday. Follow us on YouTube for our cooking segments. Follow us for our fashion segments. We're doing yoga with T tomorrow, and that'll be up. Big Girl Yoga. We finna change the world with that. Yeah. So follow us. 2 Dope Girls in the Gym. 2, the number 2. Girls with a Z on YouTube. It's all spaced out.
Yep.
Fit in Wonderland. Brandy Mallory.
Rachel_redefined.
Rachel_redefined. You heard that Butts County, Georgia in there.
Yes.
Redefined. And if you notice, she's an hour and a half from everything. That's
Yeah,
her time.
everything.
Yeah. But yeah, thank you. Okay,
Yeah,
do it again.
thank you.
On
All right,
Kegel
guys.
time.
Yeah.
One more time, we gonna be out on Kegel time. We going out to Kegel time. 1, 2, 3, Kegel!
Kegel. Kegel. CJ got belt.
Right.
Ooh, Kegel.
That was great.
CJ, I dropped a gallon of water on the floor.
Yes, ma'am.
That's why it says do not bring liquids in here.
Alex!
I didn't mean to. I didn't mean
You need to go to the bathroom
My booty is
and get all the paper towels you can get.
paper towel. Okay.
Rachel, yes, ma'am, you
Yeah,
coming
you're
back.
awesome.
First of all, we gotta bring you back when
Hey,
you can.
I'll ask me.